Time to take a look at the dailies this morning. I have all the papers here. We'll be having a look at the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, Taifa, the Standard, as well as the Star. But we're going to begin with the Daily Nation here. And this is what is captured on the front page of the DN. Revealed Haji's NIS shake-up. Well, the National Intelligence Service Director General Nordin Haji has been a busy man since his appointment in June. The former DPP has been working on crafting a spy agency that is more responsive, effective and aggressive in securing the country's interests. And this has come with both structure and personnel changes, including the agency's first female deputy spy chief. It's a full splash there on page 7 of the DN. We'll be getting to a look at that in a moment. Meanwhile, also captured on the front page, double loss for woman caught up in both the Mavoko and Njiru land cases. Well, it's the story of Christine Lona, who can see the picture there, displays certificates for some of the pieces of land during an interview yesterday at her home, built on a section of land owned by the family of the late city politician Gershon Kirima there. Well, it's just within a span of a week where you have Lorna's investments built over 2 decades going up in smoke following the recent demolitions in Mavoko, Machakos County, and a court ruling now ordering squatters living in Njiru and Embakasi East to vacate by the end of the year. That is the 31st of December, or will be facing forceful eviction. You have the Nation team which caught up with her at her home back in Njiru, and she narrates how she was shocked to learn that the parcels of land she had in Mavoko belonged to the East African Portland Cement Company. And then another blow follows, where this mother of 4 is also among the 1,000 squatters who were on Monday ordered to vacate a piece of land owned by the deceased billionaire Gershon Kirima there. It's a splash on page 10 of the DN. Let's see what else is captured inside here. Now, twin blow. My husband left me after I lost my breast to cancer. Well, it's a story of a 53-year-old Shumi Abdallah Bakari, and she talks about her experience after being diagnosed with breast cancer back then when she was about 53, now 63. She's a Tanzanian-born Lamu resident, and she speaks to Nation about this journey and how her husband of 10 years divorced her after hearing news of her cancer diagnosis. And it's a very emotional story, so you can get that on the second page of the DN. Meanwhile, closure of city school after 30 years catches parents flat-footed. Well, parents of a school in Eastlands in Nairobi were caught off guard after the school's management surprised them with a memo on Tuesday saying it was closing for good. That's East End Junior Academy that announced that it would close its doors in December after 3 decades of operation. There's a circular there where the owner said they were closing down due to tough economic times. And a parent at the school said it came as a shock for them because they first received a note from the children that the school was closing before the administration then sent them that particular memo. And according to the parent, the notice was very short, and now they have no idea what to do. Perhaps we'll be hearing from my panelists a little bit later on what they think about that. Meanwhile, Amadi wants appeal in fake gold case dismissed, citing lack of proof. That's the Judiciary Chief Registrar Amadi, who maintains that a British trader who claims to have been defrauded about 100 million in a fake gold scam has failed to show that she benefited from the alleged fraud. And that's a case that continues in court as well. Meanwhile, Uhuru Jubilee allies get the last laugh as Sabina Chege ousted as former President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party faction, which has had the last laugh in the protracted tussle for the deputy minority leader's seat in the National Assembly. You have the Speaker Moses Wetangula finally making the changes in the minority leadership that so nominated MP Sabina Chege, there you can see her picture, replaced by Embakasi West MP Mark Mwenje. And some say this could be a sweet victory, but the sweet victory could not have come at a better time, just hours after, before the former president's birthday, and especially after Chege declared herself the leader of the Jubilee Party. And, this, ouster by the, Speaker really would be a big blow to her faction after the Kiambu High Court also dismissed their case seeking to block her removal and ordering them to exhaust all avenues of dispute resolution within the party. It has been a conversation, a back and forth within the Jubilee Party for quite some time, but then this is the latest development with regard to that. This whole dispute, the Speaker accusing the opposition of also sending a litany of letters using unpalatable language to force his hand. All right, so you can get that full report there on the DN with regard to all the happenings here. We've been following up for quite some time. Meanwhile, big one here, 59 MCAs vote to impeach Mwangaza. Remember, that's a conversation we were having just yesterday as well, where Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza has been impeached for the second time in 10 months after all 59 ward representatives present supported a motion tabled by Majority Leader Evans. And however, 10 MCAs who opposed the impeachment process were not present in the assembly. You have the Speaker Ayub Bundi, who allowed the debate on the motion to proceed after affirming that 64 of the 69 MCAs had appended their signatures, hence meeting the threshold needed for the tabling of such proceedings. Well, you also have an attempt by the governor's lawyers to stop the debate on various technicalities, which was ignored, with the Speaker maintaining that the debate should indeed proceed. So that is the latest with regard to that whole impeachment issue that was facing the governor of Meru, and now she has been ousted. How it goes, of course, we'll be looking at the next stages of the process and how that will go. However, Mwangaza, who was, by the way, present at the assembly, was actually represented by 7 lawyers led by Danson Omari and Elias Mutuma, has dismissed the motion as defective and insufficient. All right, you already have her lawyers kicking off the defense by poking holes into the impeachment motion, citing that the assembly breached the process as well as its standing orders. Of course, today we'll be getting more developments really into this particular matter. Meanwhile, state seeking MPs nod to send police to Haiti. Well, the police top security organ has asked Parliament to approve the deployment of 1,000 police officers to lead a multinational security support mission in the troubled Haiti. This is a request that was contained in a memorandum by the National Security Council, chaired by President William Ruto, and transmitted to the 2 houses through Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki. And you have the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula formally notifying MPs of the NSC memorandum and directing the Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs to consider the matter jointly with the Senate Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations as well. And so you have these 2 committees, the Speaker Wetangula saying, have until November the 8th to table a report either to approve or reject the request to allow for timely disposal of this matter. Remember, the President had already committed to ensuring that Kenya's mission to the Caribbean nation, that is Haiti, becomes a success despite that court order blocking the deployment until the petition against the move is heard and determined as well. So that is also another development we'll be following up on. Meanwhile, Haji Sheikh's spy agency leadership in power move. Of course, that's what was captured on the front page. You can read it in terms of really what these changes mean and how they're seen as a way to sort of stamp Haji's authority 4 months into his tenure. You know, Nation has learned a number of things there, so you can get a full report on the same. Just on the sidelines of that story as well, you can see the former National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich there, picture of him. This was when it was before Milimani court on the 4th of October. It says, apologize to magistrate, judge orders prosecutor in Rotich case. The trial of the former Treasury Cabinet Secretary and 8 others taking a new twist after a judge directed a prosecutor in the matter to apologize for the presiding magistrate over what he termed as unethical and uncalled for conduct. High Court Judge Nixon Sifuna saying the public prosecutor had ulterior motives other than the promotion of the rule of law, the protection of rights, and the administration of justice as well. A report by Sam Kiplagat on that particular matter. And also, state has recovered grabbed forest land in Gong. That's according to the Environment Principal Secretary Gitonga Mugambi, who says now the recovery grabbed for forest land is worth about 100 million, and it was recovered in Gong. That's in Kajiado County. It's about 3 I think it's 35 acres carved out of the Kibiku forest next to the Kenya Institute of Highways and Building Technology, which had been grabbed by a private developer for private use and was in the process of being developed when the government moved to reclaim it, according to the PS. And of course, this is coming after members of the Kibiku Community Forest Association moved to court this month to stop the developer from grabbing that particular piece of land, right? Just to go back to now, just a quick story that we had featured a moment ago, because it touches on what we were having a discussion around. Of course, it's the issue of education, but just to introduce my panelists who have joined me this morning. Amos Kaburu, Chief Consul, Opticum. A very good morning to you. Good to see you, Amos, after a long time. Right, Karibu Sana. I hope you're well. Peter Munga, Education Researcher at Kewater, and also, a stakeholder within the education sector as well. A very good morning to you. Good to see you, Peter.
My pleasure to be here.
Indeed. And also Margaret Kagasi, head teacher of Mariakani Primary School, was also a member of the Kenya Private Schools Association. Good to see you. A very good morning to you. Indeed. So there's a story here on the Daily Nation. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And it touches on the closure of a school here in Nairobi after 30 years. And it says closure of city school, after 30 years catches parents flat-footed. You have parents of a school in Eastlands, Nairobi, being caught off guard after the school's management surprised them with a memo on Tuesday saying it was closing for good. It was East End Junior Academy, announcing it would close its doors in December after 3 decades. And why? It's all about the economy. In that circular, the owner said they were closing down due to tough economic times. And a parent at the school saying it comes as a shock to them after they've received a note from their children that the school was closing before the administration sent their memo there. According to the parent, the notice was very short and now they have no idea what to do. We have the Nation trying to contact some of the teachers, but they declined to speak to journalists, only saying that even they had been taken by surprise by the announcement. It's a school that's located in Tena Estate. It was established in 1993, has been running for 30 years continuously. You have the first cohort that's set for KCPE in 2000. Now parents with children at the school will be forced to look for alternatives after the long festive holidays that begin next week. We also have a statement from the Kenya Private Schools Association saying nearly 400 private schools were forced to close down in 2021. This was due to the pandemic, and now schools closed on the March 16th, 2020, partially reopened in 2020 and fully reopened in 2021. And of course, that is what has happened. But at the end of it all, at the bottom line of this whole issue is the issue of cost of living, and the school saying they cannot be able to maintain to run the school. That's a circular you can see there, East End Junior Academy, Outer Ring Road. That's Tena Estate. Amos, when you're looking at this, what really, captures your imagination? Because 30 years a school is running continuously non-stop, and all of a sudden just a shocker to parents and the teachers as well that we cannot be able to sustain this.
Well, it was very, very sad. I know of one, a friend of mine who was a senior government officer who really pushed the bastion on me. The other day when raised it in one of the groups belonged to and asked Amos, you speak about some of these things. This is now the opportunity. But I think that there is much more than just the issue of cost of living. I think our private school system is going through a lot of transformation. And the issue of sustainability is very, very critical, because what we need to recognize is that the private sector is going to take a very, very active role in provision of our education, and this is going even to deepen even in the coming years. And so schools create, a school like this one has created what we may call a legitimate expectation. Mzee Matolo in my village owned a cock, and the day he slaughtered the cock, that's the first time we almost had riots in the village. Because it didn't just belong to him alone, it used to work.
It was a community.
So actually a school such as East End, it's very sad to see it close the doors, but I have a strong feeling that it's more than the issue of the cost of living. 30 years, there could be issues around passing over to the subsequent generations, because equally the owners of the school are now old,
right,
and maybe they are also looking. These are just mere speculations,
right,
but according to me, I strongly believe that it's not just the cost of living.
Right.
There is something a little bit more, and it's encouraging to see that even the Kenya Private Schools Association is taking a keen interest. We really have to support our private schools to get a footing, because it is not possible for us where we are right now to deliver education through the public system alone.
Right.
It is becoming increasingly evident, and I know that Amunga will not agree with me on this one, but it's increasingly becoming clear, right, that we must create some level of parallelism where there is some kind of symbiosis, complementarity between the public and the private. It is sad to see this one happening, and I know of a few people also trying really to try and see whether there is something that can be done so that East End does not close. And really, East End should not close.
Right.
It should not close by all means,
because I mean,
it's a heritage.
Right.
What are the alumni going to do? In fact, I want to challenge the alumni this morning. The alumni of East End Junior Academy, wherever you are, we must sit down and save this school. Your school cannot close. What will you tell your grandchildren? I mean, where did you go to school? I went to a school which is not there. It doesn't make sense. I went to Chakarini Primary, it is still there. Kiva High School is still there. The prestigious Kenyatta University is still there. You went to
not
Eastern
to allow
Academy,
it to be sort of phased out of, you know,
it cannot. Honestly, Zainab, we can't do that. And you see, even Amunga is now agreeing with me. We cannot really allow Eastern to close. Something must be done.
All right. Let's hear from Margaret, because you are also a member of the Kenya Private Schools Association. What does this mean, you know, for especially this, you know, learners who were caught in shock?
This is a very, very sad story. And I agree with my fellow panelists that something must be done to save this school. Because as much as our friend is saying that the cost of living is not affecting it, it has become very expensive to run a private school, and the load goes on the parent. See, when somebody has a private school, they totally depend on the parent to pay in order for them to run the school. So when you find parents having a challenge in paying, then you know that the workers will not work, and the parents also expect quality. So when there is a delay in school fees payment, then we have a problem running it. So yes, there might be problems with the next gen. Some of the owners of the schools do not really tell their children what they do in the schools. To have an administration running smoothly the way it used to run with the parents. So it could be handing over challenges. It could be that the parents are now not paying on time. And
so it could be a multiplicity of issues that really has necessitated this
because everything has gone
situation.
High,
right?
And it becomes tricky.
So you're saying the issue of high cost of living is also an important aspect.
It is
looking
playing
into this
a big
situation.
Role. It is playing a big role.
A big role. All right, Peter, your thoughts?
Yeah, of course. The problem starts with all of us as a country. The value, what value are we putting on the education system? The taxes, when we hear about taxes, these taxes, what Madam Kagasi may not have said is that even our schools are being taxed heavily. For you to open a private school in this country, you have to pay a lot of taxes. And these taxes are increasing every hour, every day. And then there's the bureaucracy that surrounds it. There is a lot of things. Like here in Nairobi, to run a private school, to keep it, to maintain it, to have your teachers, all of them certified, and all of them being members registered by the Teacher Service Commission, and to pay them salaries that can actually keep their lifestyle, you know, in a city like Nairobi, it becomes almost impossible.
Right.
It's not only private schools that are closing down. I want to say that even there are some schools we call upbet. You know, there are schools that kind of operate in slum areas. These schools are normally very important schools because they are schools that kind of fill in the gaps. But again, many of these schools are also closing down because the purchasing power among parents for them to pay and to invest in education is not there. And of course, it's reaching a place also people are kind of also giving up on education. You know, the value that we had attached to education is again going down. The value that my friend Amos had on his school in Kivaiwa and Chekalini or whatever. Many people no longer want to identify. In fact, it's no longer fashionable even really talk about the school that you went to. So it's not really, it's about the culture change. We are moving away from this. And that's why nowadays talk about homeschooling. We are talking about teachers learning from home. You're talking about technology coming in. Schools, the way we know them, the four walls of a school, you know, classrooms, may be not just east end closing. Many schools may close, and we may go to virtual schools. We may go to schools that are online.
So you're thinking there's a sort of a paradigm shift in terms of how the education system is working right now.
True.
And there's so many things that are happening with regards to technology and all these things. That's what you're saying.
That's true.
All right. You wanted to add something else?
I agree largely that yes, there is a lot of transformation happening. But I think if you still go back to the same story, and they say Mr. and Mrs. Munyambu are both in their 70s and would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the support you've given. The fact of the matter is that if you ever run a business, the decision to close down a business is not easy. It's one of the most difficult. Some of us have been in that space, and when you sign off that last memo to say will not be operating from this particular day, 1st of September, will have closed. It's a very, very painful decision. And that's why I strongly believe that by allowing some of these institutions to fall, there is a doctrine in behavioral finance we call the doctrine of too big to fall.
Right.
There should be certain institutions that must be protected at all costs. And that's why at one time you and people are asking that government should intervene in the case of Nakumatt. Because if you allow certain institutions to fall, what happens is that you create what you call the contagion effect. You create a lot of hopelessness. So if you let East End to collapse, even the few small private schools that used to look up to them, it's not just the small private schools, there are also other businesses around it. Because you see, when a school is established in a certain area, it's an important installation. It attracts other things. Shops come up, people are building houses, there are hospitals around. So there's a whole ecosystem of business that is created. So we must have mechanisms, and I really hope that the Kenya Private Schools Association has mechanisms to really try and support some of these institutions that have been there for a while. Because really a school that has existed for 30 years is a beacon of hope. What are you trying to tell schools that are only 5 years old, schools that are only 10 years old, that you see the case of Mr. and Mrs. Munyambu, because they are now old and tired, there is no protection mechanism from the Kenya Private Schools Association, there is no mechanism from the National Chamber of Commerce and Business in Kenya, there is no, I mean, we really must be a country that protects businesses, because it's not just a question of these children are going to miss school, there are teachers who are going
to lose their jobs,
all these people. So the whole ecosystem of the business environment must be sensitive around looking at the interests of everyone. So this is not just about Mr. and Mrs. Munyambu. These are senior citizens. They should actually be enjoying their pension. In fact, we should allow them to rest very well, just sit at home. We give them some little money, they go on holiday. But I am really hopeful that my friend Kagazia and others, Honorable Engineer Ochome is watching, and the rest. Professor Otundo was talking to me. Let's put our heads together and really see how we can end up saving a school such as this one. We must take the bold decision.
And on that note, we're going to take a short break here on M Live this morning. When we come back, we'll be winding up on the paper to get into our discussion. But remember, you can always engage with us. The hashtag is MLiveNTV at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. Continue to tweet us on X. We'll be sampling some of the views in the course of this broadcast. Stay with us.
What I like about Man Cave is the opportunity that men have been given. Through this platform, they are able to discuss and share amongst themselves what really goes around their lives. One person may think that they're going through something worse, but when you sit down and hear what other men are going through, you're able to really understand what what is affecting you is really nothing. And Man Cave has done that very well. All through from Man Cave 1, Man Cave 2, and the 3rd edition, which is coming on the 28th of October 2023, which will be hosted at Olol Tepes in Kiseria. It's a man's affair. You're all welcome.
Visit nation.africa. To catch the best of lifestyle and entertainment. Keep an eye on education and gender issues. Get electrified with the latest sporting action. Stay informed as we unravel intriguing undercover investigative stories. And enjoy comprehensive coverage from award-winning journalism and reporting, including politics, expert opinion, and breaking news. Settle for more content in great packages on any device. Subscribe today for exclusive premium content. Visit nation.africa. Nation.africa. Positively empowering society.
On this episode of Thamani, we focus on the energy business, solar energy.
God has given us sunlight. Let's tap it, put in the panel, and then you can use it for your home, for security, street light solar. You can also use for garden lights. We have some garden lights here. It's free.
How effective is this solar during rainy season?
During the night when they have moon, any light, it charges because of the battery inside. So it conserves the heat and then it is converted into energy. And then that heat now, you get the lights.
All these and more on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Thamani, showcasing resilience and exploring scalability.
Win a 3-bedroom house in Nanyuki sitting on a 1/4 acre or a 30K weekly shopping voucher or a monthly plot. For every 100K you spend buying or paying for your plot, you earn 1 entry to the draw. The more you invest, the more entries you get. Bamba Nyumba na AMG.
Even Job, he overcome the lines the devil had put for him. He entered the next level. Today, I prophesy, just like Job, God bless his life. Yeah. He received double. Today, you are crossing that suffering, crossing that joblessness. You are entering your next level. Double.
He's worked in the kingdom for over 40 years.
Maisha Saudi ni sheria.
Now, Ali Muhammad Abdallah shares what it takes to make it in Saudi's public transport sector.
You have to struggle, you have to sweat.
Also this week, investment opportunities in Ongata Rongai, a fast-growing destination for diaspora remittances with special attention on Impala developers.
We have quite a number of clients from the diaspora market, which is US and Germany right now.
Impala, we have created a name for ourselves when it comes to trust.
This as diaspora investments back home continue to be safeguarded.
We are one of the leading intermediaries in the country.
Mortain Dew, with its trusted formulation, it provides protection in seconds. So spread the Mortain Dew message of how you and I can fight to end malaria. Mortain Dew, Kenya's #1 choice.
All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2023. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started.
All right, and welcome back to the program. You're watching AM Live this morning as we canvass around some of the developments in the country. We'll be touching on issues with regard to the education sector. However, just to give you another glimpse of also what is captured in the dailies very quickly. On the, we'll not be getting into this right now because it's literally touching a huge part of what we'll be having a discussion around. It's on the last page of the Daily Nation. MPs to neck, you must do this to curb exam cheating. Well, members of Parliament are telling Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu to ensure the forthcoming exams are credible by sealing all loopholes that can lead to cheating. Yesterday, the lawmakers expressing concern that cheating has become a norm in national exams, thereby eroding the value of academic certificates. And among the issues the MPs want fixed in order to tame cheating include payment of examiners and security officers manning the exams in time, disbursement of school capitation in time to ensure the environment where exams are undertaken are well equipped, and they also want fees paid to teachers marking the exams to be increased to act as a morale booster. In addition, they want the number of markers increased to ensure they give more attention to the scripts. They're also opposed to candidates being transported to examination centers far from their schools, and they're urging the ministry to sort of establish more examination centers that are near the schools. The MPs also want the DCI and the Communications Authority to act swiftly against those who peddle examination papers on social media platforms. That was a big case in the previous exams. The rehearsals for the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, that's KPSEA, and the KCPE are scheduled for tomorrow, while the exams will run from Monday to Wednesday next week. Meanwhile, the KCSE practicals started on the 19th of October, were concluded on the 23rd, while the theories were also set to begin on Monday, which is the 24th of November next month, that is. All right, so we'll be getting to that in just a moment. Meanwhile, let me give you a brief of also the other papers. In Taifa Leo, this is what is on the front page. Je, Raila azindua unga feki? Ripoti ya KEBS yaonyesha unga wa mokwa una viwango vya juu vya sumu aina ya aflatoxin. All right, and you have a big picture there of Governor wa Homa Bay Gladys Wanga na mbunge wa Suba Kusini Karoli Omundi wakisonga ugali, huku kinara wa Azimio Raila Odinga akitazama. Ilikuwa muda mfupi baada ya Odinga kuzindua rasmi kiwanda cha kusaga unga cha Kigobo Maize Milling katika kijiji cha Kigoto. That was last year, November mwaka 2022. Unga kutoka kwa kiwanda hicho maarufu kama mokwa ulibainika kuwa mbaya. All right. So that is the story. It's essentially uchunguzi. Kinara upinzani Raila Odinga akizindua unga feki baada ya ripoti ya shirika la kukadiri ubora wa bidhaa rasmi nchini, that is KEBS, kuonesha kuwa unga wa kawaida wa kiwanda cha kusaga mahindi cha Kigoto una viwango juu vya sumu ya aflatoxin, also kwa Kiswahili inaitwa kuvu. All right, so that is something that is also coming up. Is it a fake or what really is the issue here? Raila zindua unga feki. That's the report by KEBS. So the full story here on Taifa Leo, so you can look at that. And of course, KEBS yatishia kuchukua hatua dhidi ya kiwanda cha kusaga unga hicho kwa kukiuka sheria. All right, so that's another story. We'll be having to look at the developments so far. Meanwhile, of course, the story of Sabina Chege there. Wetangula salimu amri na kuidhinisha kufurushwa kwa Sabina. All right, so that's just part of what is within the Taifa Leo. Meanwhile, on Business Daily, 1,000 shillings buying power dips to 850 in a year. So fuel that lasted a week now lasts, what, 4 days? 100,000 shillings Anna has 10,380 shillings less. This is the erosion in purchasing power due to increase in statutory deductions and inflation. It's an analysis there by the Business Daily in terms of the issue of the cost of living and the purchasing power of Kenyans, and really what it means for Kenyans. So that means, yes, so if you have 1,000 shillings, whatever you'd buy for, you know, every product you'd buy that would really accumulate to 1,000 shillings would now sort of mean that you're going to, you know, pay 850? Yes. Yeah. So now whatever you're going to buy for 850 means now you're going to pay 1,000 shillings for the same amount of product. Yeah. And I mean, Amos, this is something, you know, let me begin with you, Peter. I mean, so it's difficult for Kenyans.
Very difficult. That's why I was calling it the purchasing power.
Right.
And that's what's affecting everybody, even schools. You can't afford. What about fees in schools? If you are paying 2,000, that means it is 850 times 2. You are not paying the 2,000, so you have to pay. You have to go deeper into your pocket,
right,
to meet the cost of education and everything else.
I mean, the effect of the 8% inflation, worsening the depreciation of the shilling. You have new deductions. You have so many things that are happening now. In the Business Daily, they're saying, for instance, Marcin Joki is a teacher based in Nairobi, found herself increasingly making adjustments in her lifestyle, including better timings when shopping and even switching markets to get cheaper products to save as much as she can. She has a household budget which has risen to 7,000 from 5,000. Her motorcycle rider, Boda, who charged 50 for a one-way trip from to or from school, has increased that fare to 70. So whenever she has to use a vehicle to run day-to-day errands, the regular amount of fuel now takes her 4 to 5 days, where it would have previously been sufficient for a week for the same amount. And so she says, and I quote, "This has reduced my frequency of going home. 2,000 fuel would take me a week running day-to-day errands, but now 2,000 takes me just 4 days." We had a salary increment about 3,000 shillings in July, but that only served to cushion against the impact I could have had due to the introduction of the housing levy, which still goes back to issues of the taxes and deduction. I mean, Margaret, I don't know if you're also feeling the impact of it.
Even going out with the children, you can't, because you can't afford even to buy them the simple things that you would buy them. It is becoming very challenging. Remember, there's no salary increment. You're still working within that which you used to earn. It is very tough. I look at it and wonder how practical it is going to be, because I'm on salary. I think about that lady in the village. It is very difficult there. You can't even, you can't face your children and tell them. People are not even taking 2 meals. They're eating once.
So you have people reducing even the amount of meals that they're taking.
You only wash your hands once, because it is not possible to eat twice. So things aren't very good. And I want to believe that the government must do something to cushion Kenyans. Yeah.
All right. Amos, I mean, this is the reality on the ground.
This is the reality on the ground. The sad part is that our investments are still not focusing on the fundamentals. And reminds me of part of the work that we do at Opticam, which is really to look at this challenge of food security, because it's one of the areas that is hitting hard. And I recall this young friend of mine, I met her in a restaurant. She's called Yvette Waweru. And she told me, what, you know what, Amos, unfortunately we're eating scarce, we're eating sick. And that was quite profound. That really, the sad part of this conversation is that even the food that we are eating, we've seen kuvu over here, we're still not sure of what we are eating.
Right.
Chances are very high that we could still be eating sick. So I think, at least if these things were happening, but you're also still sure that your health is fine, it's a little bit reassuring. But even amidst all these things, you don't know the drugs that you are consuming, whether they are legit or they are not legit. The food that you are consuming, whether it's going to lead your child to even remaining to be stranded and such. When I came to the city in 2003 as a young person joining the university, we used to take water from the taps. Now you can't do that. Public transport is no longer guaranteed, because I have no problem using public transport.
Right.
Personally, I even don't like driving. But the reason why I have to use, the reason why I have to drive my car is because the public transport can be so unreliable.
Right.
You can, if I wanted to scam here just the way I was coming, and then I was using public, of course, an Uber, and then another matatu rolls just ahead of us, and you look at the kind of risks that you're already predisposed to. So I think that even when the cost is as high as it is, there must still be safeguards on the quality of the lives of Kenyans. And that's one of the things that I would really like to begin asking government, that much as we are looking at the quantitative indicators, it's also highest time that we began looking at the qualitative indicators of the lives of the Kenyan people. Yes, even if they are taking 1 meal a day, but are they really taking food or are they taking
poison?
Even if, yes, they are supposed to go to hospitals, but are they guaranteed that the drugs that they are being given are really the legit drugs? The cement that you are using to buy. You know, interestingly, Zainab, and I just want to make some wild allegation. I have been walking on the streets of Kampala and comparing with the streets of Nairobi. And in Nairobi, almost everyone is putting on glasses. And I am surprised when I go to Kampala, people are not putting on glasses.
Is this your own little research?
Observation, yes.
Observation?
So
Right.
I've been wondering, and it reminds me in 2014 when I was putting up a small house in the village. And a friend of mine called Jack Ngota was the one who was painting my house and told me that, you know, Amos, you never know. Some of these paints that we are using to paint our houses are loaded with a lot of lead.
Wow.
So that's what is leading to many people losing their eyes. So I don't know how true that could be, that probably even some of the things which are just next door, we never know what we are basically consuming. The quality of this paper, the coffee that you're taking, the rays that are coming from your computer, are you really protected? So I think there's something just about consumer protection in this country.
Right.
Even as we go this high, the cost is going high, but still, are we protecting the consumer so that, yes, even if I'm paying 300 shillings for this cup,
it is
but
worth.
I'm really getting the value of that
But
cup.
you see, what Amos was saying also is that compromising, you know, when the prices go down, and there's a lot of compromising of issues. So many things are compromised. The qualities are compromised. And it's not just about the foods and everything. Even what we want to talk about education.
Even education, yes.
So because you get this, you come to discover that it's the quality in education that we are receiving is not the quality that somebody received 10 years ago. What you see in schools, because the money, the education that you'll pay for that time, whatever you're paying for today for what to get the same education, is not, you cannot, it's already compromised.
All right.
So costs affect everything.
All right. And I want us to move away from that now. Just very quickly as well, let me give you a glimpse of what you can find on the Standard. On the Standard, that's what's on the front page. The flying President Ruto, has a penchant for flying. They are saying so great is his love for travel that it appears he cannot pass up any opportunity. So far, he's been abroad 38 times, even as back at home little seems to be moving. But from the university funding crisis to the high cost of living quandary, which has been captured on the next pages of the Standard there, of course, talking about a number of things. If I can give you a glimpse of that, let me try and move the paper. All right. So state under pressure over university funding, perhaps we'll touch on that a little bit as well. Lobby challenges funding model for college students. It's been quite a big issue, and of course a lot of concern with regard to the funding of university, and university students really coming up strongly to talk about this particular matter. But on the Star, is also on education, because I mean we're really heading there. And on the Star front page, 15 choppers to airlift KCSE, KCPE papers. Some 3.6 million candidates to sit their national exams in more than 70,000 centers. Okay, so great lengths by the ministry to spend about 500 million to transport exam papers to flood prone areas. Okay, so that is